What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Gear Breaker Nation, where we give excellent assessment and reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about my top 10 most badass movies of 2015. Now, 2015 has dished out a lot of really great movies. There are just so many to pick from, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see a whole lot of movies this year, but I am going to go down the list of the top 10 that I thought were pretty good from the ones that I did see. Now, there are a few honorable mentions. Ant-Man was a really fun and well-directed film. Ex Machina, a very thrilling film that had really suspenseful moments and good character dynamics. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation was a really fast-paced, action-packed, and well-acted movie. Circle with really good characters and really good dialogue and a really good concept. Goosebumps was a really well-acted and really funny movie that I really enjoyed. And guys, you gotta excuse my voice. I got into a yelling match and it's not been boding so well for me. But anyway, without further ado, let's get down to the top 10 most badass films of 2015. Coming in at number 10 is Maggie. Maggie was a well-directed film. Why? Because even though it is a zombie apocalypse movie, it was very subtle. It's about the little moments between people, where people have to sit here and live their last moments. And I really appreciate it about this film. The film does follow this father who has to spend the last days with his daughter, who is slowly becoming a zombie, and I really like that dynamic. Abigail Breslin and Arnold Schwarzenegger do give really good performances, and it's great to see Arnold play a more dramatic role, and he lands the role perfectly. The movie has a very brittle look to it, and it does really good for the film. It sets up a really good tone. So having said that, the performances, the concept, and the directing lands Maggie at our number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Z for Zachariah. Now, I was a fan of the book. I really enjoyed the novel that the film is based off of. Although it doesn't follow the novel 100%, it does a great job of what it presents. The performances are really good. I was really surprised that Margot Robbie, who I'd never seen before in any movie, and she does a really good job. I liked Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I loved Chris Pine. I thought all the performances was good. Also beautifully shot and well paced. There was a lot of talented directing when it came to this film, along with the great performances, along with the beautiful wide shots of the landscape, along with a really subtle story that focuses on characters. In my personal opinion, one of the best novel adapted films, and it definitely deserves number 9 on our list. Coming in at number 8, of course, is Straight Outta Compton. Now, I was never really a fan of the 90s hip-hop and culture or anything like that when I was growing up, even though I was an 80s baby. I was very intrigued with the concept of this film. I like biopics, and this film is a very intense and entertaining one. Not only does it tell a very compelling story with some very intense moments, especially when it comes to the cops, the racism, or the political turmoil. And the performances were great, especially when he established all of these great characters based on these people in a time period where things were just blowing up, and I thought that was done really well. It had great performances, it had great characters, the music was great. It is a very well told story and well directed one. So having said that, I have to say Straight Outta Compton definitely deserves number 8 on our list. Coming in at number 7 is Creed. Now, Creed is definitely a great introduction to the Rocky series. Even though it isn't a direct sequel, it does establish itself as a film in the Rocky series. It is a really good and well-directed film. I like to see Michael B. Jordan play this character who's trying to come out from his father's shadow and create his own name. And I like how they tied it into Rocky Balboa, who has to train him. I think that's a really good dynamic. Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone actually are just solid in this film. I like the chemistry between these two characters. I like the story. I like the tributes that they pay to the original Rocky series. It was just done and slipped in there in really subtle ways, and it works completely. The fights are very fast-paced and intense and impactful. This is definitely a film that can be appreciated, not only for the great performances, not only for the boxing aspect, but as generally a good movie. As a film where it is well where the older generation seems to be passing down the torch to a younger generation, it works. And it definitely works as a Rocky Balboa movie. Creed definitely deserves number 7 on our list. Coming in at number 6 is Jurassic World. Now, I know this movie got a lot of flack for the lack of practical effects, the children that were just totally a waste of time, and some bits of the story. But I have to say, I really enjoyed this film. And me personally, it is the best Jurassic Park film that is out there, even though it could have been touched upon a bit more with some of the story aspects. I really did like the performances by Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. I like the chemistry between these two characters. I like how they established themselves in this world for specific purposes that do push along the film, but also because of the characters themselves. I really did like that aspect. I love the visual effects, especially how we have these great wide shots of the land. And also, I love the fact that we see a fully functional park. It is done so well. I like the way that they introduced the more scientific aspects of it, where we have the gene splicing, the new hybrids that they created, which leads me to say the Indominus Rex was easily one of the best aspects of this film. It was terrifying. It was really cool. It was really menacing. And as an antagonist, it actually worked. The action sequences are freaking phenomenal. I love the fast-paced epic feel to it, the suspenseful moments, the dark moments. This movie does it well. That's what places Jurassic World as number 6. Coming in at number 5, Mad Max Fury Road. Now, I've been a fan of the whole Mad Max series since I was a kid, and I'm glad to see that they rebooted it, bringing fresh new characters, fresh new ideas. Very fast-paced movie. I love the action sequence, which were freaking badass. This movie, when it comes to the action, the choreography, the pyrotechnology that they use with the fire and explosions, everything when it comes to the action is just solid. It's beautifully shot, well acted. I have to give it to Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, especially Charlize Theron, who's one of my favorite all-time actresses. She completely kills the role of Furiosa, one of the most badass female characters in filming history. She does it. She completely brings it. Great cinematography, the great use of practical effects, and the score. The score is just so beautifully done. Mad Max Fury Road honestly should make it higher up on this list, but it was just such a hard countdown when it comes to these movies this year. Beautiful in almost every aspect. Mad Max Fury Road definitely deserves number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. A really good series, something I really didn't get into at first, but after watching the movies, I thought they were beautiful. I love the characters. I love the story that establishes itself, the big build-up, the suspenseful moments, the action, and the concept. But I have to say, when it comes to Part 2, everything just comes into one big climax, and it is there. The film is beautifully acted. Of course, Jennifer Lawrence comes back, kills it as Katniss, and I love the moral choices that she has to do in this film. She has to pick between Peter and Gale, and I like that dynamic. I like the fact that the characters know that dynamic is there, that choice she has to face. When things jump off in this film, it jump off in this film. There are so many moments where it's like, oh, characters that you love are killed, and it is pretty sad. Also, the suspense, some very suspenseful moments where you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if somebody's going to be killed, somebody's going to be called out, or captured, or discovered. This film definitely pushes the suspenseful moments. It was beautifully done. The movie was well directed. The movie went at a good pace. There were some really good action sequences. There were very memorable action sequences. There were very memorable moments. As the finale to a really good series, it works. So that's why The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 made it to number 4 on our list. Alright guys, we made it to the top 3 movies of 2015 on my list. So without further ado, here we go. Coming in at number 3, Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, I am a fan of the first Avengers movie. I thought the movie was well directed. The performances were great. It was funny, it was action-packed, and told a very compelling story. And I like how, in this film, it improves upon that. You see these characters to work as a team, and they function a lot better. But I also like the fact that the film just digs down to those same relationships and see how the relationships can be broken down. And the film just does a great job of focusing on the characters. Even characters who didn't get as much screen time as they needed in the first film got more expose in this film, and it's done really well. There were a lot of great emotional moments that surprised even me. The action scenes were shot very well. The way the cinematography worked was done really well too. Visually, the movie looks exceptional. This film introduces new characters, and they're likable, they're cool, they're powerful. I enjoyed that about this film. And also, James Spader as Ultron completely killed. I love the character. He was charismatic, he was funny, he was menacing, everything that a villain should be. He has personality. Excuse me, y'all, my voice is going out. It's great to see my favorite Marvel characters come back once again, and they just go into another adventure to save the world while also finding out more about themselves and growing up more stronger bond within each other. So that's why Avengers Age of Ultron makes it to number 3 on this list. Coming in at number 2, Inside Out. Now, as an animated movie, this movie is just beautifully shot. If there's one thing I could sit there and say is beautiful, this film is just a beautiful film to just look at, to admire. The characters and the concept are really good. Inside Out does tell a very compelling story, and I like the concept. What we have to see, we can sit here and see this world that's going inside this little girl's head. I love the fact that we can see these personifications, and we see how they are individual characters and how they have to interact with each other, also with certain situations. And this film does a great job of just exploring that concept. It is just beautiful on so many levels. Not only are the characters great, the concept of how a person's thoughts and memories is built up into this fully functional world that is just amazing. It's such a beautifully shot movie. It would definitely appeal to little kids. It would definitely appeal to adults. It would definitely appeal to teenagers. It's just an all-around great film. It's funny, it's great, emotional, well, it's so subtle. The visual effects are just crazy. I couldn't help but just be so enamored with these characters. I thought they were great. I loved their dynamic. I loved the way they came at certain situations, and I like how the film shows how they would come at certain situations depending on the personality. That's the reason why Inside Out made it to number 2 on our list. And down to number 1, and of course, that being Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I have to say this movie was completely badass on so many levels, but I have to sit here and give it mostly to the characters. Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren are new additions to the Star Wars mythos, and they are so freaking cool. I love Daisy Ridley, I love John Boyega, and I thought Adam Driver completely killed the characters. They were really good, and I'm glad to see that they did pay homage to some of the older films while introducing so many new concepts. We have some of the older characters, and they're fantastic. Harrison Ford come back as Han Solo, and the dude completely kills. He's funny, charismatic, he's tough. It is funny watching him and the dynamic between him and Chewbacca. I like the fact that Carrie Fisher comes back as Leia, and she's completely badass. Then we can see that Solo and Leia have this history together, and it's kind of dark. And I'm glad that they give so much exposition to that into this film. The action sequences are so fantastic. This film is fast-paced. The musical score is beautiful. Visually, the movie is stunning. And I'm glad to see that they just brought so much to this film, and it's done so well. I had to go see this movie twice because it was so good, and I was even debating about seeing it a third time. Brings Star Wars back to its roots, but also bringing out some fresh new ideas and fresh new characters. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens definitely is my most badass film of 2015. Now, even though I came up with this top 10 list, these are films that I've seen, but I know some of these films I have not reviewed, but I will get the chance to review them and try to be more on point when it comes to 2016. So guys, in the comment section below, you've seen my top 10. Let me know what your top 10 films is. And do you agree with some of the films that I put on this list? I just really want to see people's personal opinions on this. Guys, get ready for my top worst films of the year. Once again, I didn't see every film, so the list is a bit limited. Anyway, guys, to the next edition of Gear Breaker Nation, keep those gears turning.